Hi. In this session also, we'll continue with the problem session on the basics of Laplace transforms. In the previous session, we had focused on Laplace transforms, and in this session, we will focus on inverse Laplace transforms. Okay. So in the previous session, we had discussed many techniques to find the transform. Now we are going to discuss the reverse problem. Suppose you have a transform, how will you find back the original function? So that is what we are going to discuss in this session. Okay. So as this is a problem session, we'll all be doing this problem together. So I strongly suggest you take a pen and paper and do the problems with me. Okay. And also you should have the Laplace transform table at your disposal, because we will be frequently referring to the table to find and identify the original function and also the transforms. Okay. So before we start, let me stress on one or two important points also. So in this session, we will be mainly using the Laplace transform problem, Laplace transform formula, our table, plus we will also using the linearity property. Okay, so that means here the inverse Laplace transforms also satisfies the linearity property. Okay, so as I told you, if L of f of t is equal to some capital F of s, we know that L inverse f of s is equal to the small f of t. That is, if f of s is the Laplace transform of this function f of t, we will say that this f of t is the inverse Laplace transform of this capital F of s. Okay, and also just like the Laplace transform, the inverse Laplace transform also satisfies the linearity property, and it is very important for us to understand this while doing problems. So this means that if you have to find L inverse of some capital F plus capital G, this is same as L inverse of capital F plus L inverse of G. That means you can split and find out the transforms. And similarly, if you want to find L inverse of some constant into F, then also you can find it out C into L inverses of F. So the linearity property which was applicable for Laplace transform are also applicable for inverse Laplace transform. Okay, so there is no need for another theorem and proof out there. Only the proof which I have earlier studied for Laplace transform is required for this also. Okay, so before that, let us quickly, before we do the problems, let us quickly recap the tables which we have studied. Okay, for example, if I ask you, if you can you find the inverse Laplace transform of s by s square minus 4, can you find it out? Please refer the table and tell me. This is identical to s by s square minus s square. Okay, so what is the inverse Laplace transform of that? It is nothing but it is cos h2t. Okay, so what will be the inverse Laplace transform of this? It will be simply cos h2t. Okay, now if I'm making the problem a bit more complex, if I ask you, can you find the inverse transform of 2s by s square minus 4, can you find it out? Yes, how? Because of linearity, you can take 2 outside and then it will be simply be cos h2t. So if you understand linearity property, you will understand how this step was got. Okay, now let us take the discussion a bit further. So suppose I need to find the inverse transform of s plus 2 by s square minus 4. What will I do? Okay, again using linearity property, this can be written as s by s square minus 4 plus 2 by s square minus 4. Okay, now if you want to find the inverse transform, what is the inverse transform of this? That is cos h2t, and inverse transform of this is plus sin h2t, right? Okay, so let me ask you one more question. Can you find the inverse transform of 2 by s square plus 4? What is it? Okay, so if you look at the table, it is similar to your a by s square plus a square. So the inverse transform would be simply sine 2t. Okay, now if the problem was 1 by s square plus 4, how will you find out the inverse transform? Okay, so here we are arrived at a roadblock. So how will you do that? So that is also no issue because of the linearity property. I can, if it was 2 by s square plus 4, I know the inverse transform is sine 2t. So I'll try to make it 2. For that, I should supply 1 by 2 here. Okay, so by that manipulation, the inverse transform of 1 by s square plus 4 will be simply 1 by 2 into sine 2t, because you can take 1 by 2 outside. Okay, so these concepts you should understand first of all. Okay, and similarly, I hope you understand what is inverse transform of 1 by s plus 3. Can you just think of it? It is nothing but e raised to minus 3. If you look at the table, the transform of e raised to 8 is 1 by s minus a. So the inverse transform would be simply e raised to 80. Using that property, you can do that also. Okay, so we'll also be using the shifting theorem later, that I'll show you later. So try to understand these basic concepts now. Okay, and again, if I'm taking the discussion a bit further, if I want to find the inverse transform of maybe s plus 10 by s square plus 49, what will I do? Okay, so again I can split it as s by s square plus 49 plus 10 by s square plus 49. So inverse transform of this is basically cos 70, and the inverse transform of this is So there, if it was 7 by s square plus 49, you can simply write it as sine 70, but 7 is not there, so we'll supply one 7 there and divide by 7. So if you write it as into 7 into 1 by 7, you can say 10 by 7 outside and you will get it back. So these are the basic ideas which will be used to find transforms. Okay, and one more important concept is there which you have to understand before you do embark on problems, that is, so you know that what is the transform of t raised to n? It is nothing but n factorial by s raised to n plus 1. Now I am asking you the reverse problem. Okay, so what will be the transform of n factorial by s raised to n plus 1? It is nothing but t raised to n. Okay, now I am taking a discussion a bit further. What would be the inverse transform of 1 by s raised to n plus 1? How will you find it out? What will be the inverse transform of 1 by s raised to n plus 1? How will you find it out? Okay, so you know that n factorial is a constant, so by linearity I can take it outside. So what will happen? So this will simply become n factorial into L inverse of 1 by s raised to n plus 1, that will be equal to t raised to n. Hence, the inverse transform of 1 by s raised to n plus 1 is nothing but t raised to n by n factorial. Okay, so be very careful with that. So I'll ask you one more thing. What would be the inverse transform of 1 by s raised to n plus 1? It is nothing but t raised to n by n factorial. What's the inverse transform of 1 by s raised to n? Can you just think of that? It is nothing but t raised to n minus 1 by n minus 1 factorial. Okay, so to understand things better, can you give me the inverse transform of 1 by s raised to 9? It is nothing but the inverse transform of 1 by s raised to 9 is t raised to 9 minus 1, which is t raised to 8 by 8 factorial. Can you give me the inverse transform of 1 by s square? It is nothing but t by 2 factorial, t by 1 factorial, that is just t. Okay, so I hope you understand these things. So now we will look at the table. So these, I hope you can understand the values of this transform which are given in this sheet. Okay, also discuss, we have already discussed L inverse 1 by s raised to n. Okay, and 1 by s minus a we know from the table. S by s square plus a square we can know that from the table. Similarly, 1 by s square plus a square is sine 80 by a. Why is it so? Because L inverse of a by s square plus a square is simply sine 80. So if you want to find L inverse of 1 by s square plus a square, apply a there and multiply by 1 by a and take that 1 by a outside by linearity, then you will get this result. On a similar vein, you can also find this also. It's the same concept which is being applied here. So with these properties, we will now try to find some Laplace transform, inverse Laplace transform of some simple transforms. Okay, for example, suppose as I told you, linearity property is also valid here. Okay, so as we proceed, suppose I need to find inverse transform 6s by s square minus 16. What will you do? Look at the table. To which row will this match the most? It will match to s by s square minus a square. The inverse transform, as you know, it is cos h 80. Okay, here a is actually 4. If you just look at that, compare both, a is actually 4, and also there is a problem of 6 there. But is that an issue? Because of linearity, you can take 6 outside. So when you have to find L inverse of 6s by s square minus 16, this will be same as 6 into L inverse of s by s square minus 16, and that is nothing but, just looking at the table, it is 6 into cos h 40, right? Okay, now can you find inverse transform of 1 by s square minus 16? Can you just think? It will be simply be, so you have to make sign, I'll have to bring one 4 here, so I'll have to multiply by 1 by 4. It will be simply be 1 by 4 sine h 40. Okay, I hope it is clear. Okay, now we can take the discussion further. This is a homework for you. Try to find the inverse transform of 6s plus 5 by s square minus 16. Again, apply your logic. So we can split it as 6s by s square minus 16 plus 5 by s square minus 16. Now the rest of it, try to find it by yourself, applying linearity and giving whichever constants are necessary for you to find that. Okay, now moving forward, can you find the inverse transform of this function? S square minus 3s plus 4 by s cube. What will you do? Look at the table. What can you use actually here? Do you can you think of any idea? Okay, so one basic common sense which will come to our mind is that you can give the denominator each of the terms. You can split the denominator there. Okay, so that will be simply, it will be s square by s cube. So it will be s square by s cube minus 3s by s cube plus 4 by s cube. Okay, so that is actually what is it? 1 by s minus 3 by s square, right, plus 4 by s cube. Okay, so that is actually 3 by s square plus 4 by s cube. Okay, now can you find the inverse transform now? No, it's very simple thing. So it is simply 1 minus 3t plus 4t square by 2 factorial. How do you get that? Because you know that inverse transform of 1 by s raised to n is t raised to n minus 1 by n minus 1 factorial. Here s raised to 1 here. So t raised to 0 by 0 factorial which gives you 1. Again 1 by s square it is t by 1 factorial, and 1 by s cube is t cube t square by 2 factorial. Okay, so that is the idea here. Okay, now moving forward. So this is the idea, we have done it here. So let us now decide some other problems. Okay, so can you find the inverse transform of this question? This I will not be doing, you can do it yourself. Already we have discussed this. 5s plus 1 by s square minus 25, you just split it, so it will be 5s by s square minus 25 plus 1 by s square minus 25. Look at the table, it is similar to s by s square minus a square and a by s square minus a square. Only thing is that your a here is 5, so you need to add one 5 here. So just think of that. So I'll write the final answer. It is nothing but 5 cos h5t plus 1 by 5 sin h5t. Okay, just think and tell me how you got this answer. Okay, moving on to next question. It's a similar question like this here itself, so you can do it yourself. It is just like s by s square plus a square. Your a is actually root of 3.24 and it is actually 1.8 because 118 square is 324. So that from that you can know that a is actually 1.8 here. So it is s by s square plus a square plus a by s square plus a square. Very straightforward question. Please try to do it. So if you want the answer, I can give it straight away. It is simply 0.2 into cos 1.8t plus 1.18 plus sine 1.8t, because already it is sine 1.8t. Okay, so that is the answer. Please try to do it. Okay, and a similar way, this one also, that also you can actually bring it in the form of s by s square plus a square by a small manipulation. How can you do that? Because here L, N and pi's are constant. So if I take L square outside, you will get this as 1 by L square into s by s square plus n square pi square by L square. So it is similar to your s by s square plus a square. Only thing is that your n is a is actually n pi by L. So you will get the answer as 1 by L square cos n pi by lt. You have seen these type of things in the Fourier series. Okay, and moving forward, this question you can do it in a second. What is it? It's nothing but 12 into t cube by 3 factorial minus 228 into t raised to 5 by 5 factorial. You are using the property of 1 by s raised to n. Okay, and again this is the question. So how will you do this one? 1 by s plus root 2 into s minus root 3. 1 by s plus root 2 into s minus root 3. So if you look at the table, you can see that if it was something 1 by s plus root 2, maybe you could find the answer. Or if it was 1 by s minus root 3 also, you could find the answer, right? What was the inverse transform of 1 by s plus root 2? It is nothing but it is simply e raised to minus root 2t, and inverse of this is e raised to root 3t. But here the transforms are being multiplied here. So what will you do? Okay, so the most simple thing which you can think of here now is actually, if you have studied integral calculus, you have studied about partial fractions. So I'll use partial fractions to split this into some a by s plus root 2 plus b by s minus root 3. So once I have found that, by using linearity I can easily write down the transforms. So if I can find this a and b, the final inverse transform will be simply a into e raised to minus root 2t plus b into e raised to root 3t. Just by applying the linearity principle, I can take out a outside and use this property here. Okay, so how will you find this a and b? Already you have studied in lower classes. You can take the LCM here. So you will get this as 1 is equal to a into s minus root 3 plus b into s plus root 2. So if you put s is equal to root 3, you will get the value of b, which is b into root 2 plus root 3 is there. And if you put s is equal to minus root 2, you will get the value of it is equal to minus root 2 minus root 3. Therefore a is minus 1 by root 2 plus root 3 and b is 1 by root 2 plus root 3. So using that you will get the final answer. So I hope you know how to do partial fractions. Okay, and moving one more here, the question here, s plus 10 by s square minus s minus 2. So if you have understood partial fractions, you can easily tell how to find this one also. Okay, so what will you do? I'll just split the denominator first of all, factorize it. So that is actually equal to s minus 2 into s plus 1. Okay, so you write it as a by s minus 2 plus b by s plus 1. Okay, please try to find the value of a and b. Okay, once you find the value of a and b, you know that the inverse transform is a e raised to 2t plus b e raised to minus t. So finding a and b is a homework for you. Okay, and let me tell you, these two problems can also be done by other methods once we study convolution, etc., which deals with the multiplication of Laplace transforms. So you can do it more easier in that way also. So that we'll study later part of the syllabus or later part of this module. For now, please resort to this partial fractions. Okay. Now what we'll do is that I will also show you another method by which you can do these type of problems, that is by shifting theorem. Okay, so I hope all this is clear by now. Please try to complete each and every question by yourself. If you have any doubts, you can ask me in the live class session. Okay. So moving forward, how will you use shifting theorem? So before that, I hope you remember shifting theorem. Suppose f of t has the transform capital F of s, then f of t into e raised to at would have the transform f of s minus a. We have discussed this already. Okay, so for example, suppose the transform of the transform of t square is 2 factorial by s cube, then the transform of t square into e raised to 5t is nothing but the same thing, only thing is that your s will be replaced by s minus 5. Okay, so that is a shifting theorem. Okay, so you will be using this shifting theorem in both ways. You will be, first of all, you will be given some function to find the transform containing a raised to at, that you already know. You identify f of t and then find f of s minus a, and reverse process, I will already give you f of s minus a. From that you have to identify capital F of s. Looking at f of s minus a, you identify what is capital F of s. Once you have identified capital F of s, you can easily write its inverse transform, which is f of t, and once you have written f of t, the inverse transform of this will be simply f of t into e raised to at. Okay, so I'll illustrate it in problems. Okay, for example, so these type of problems already we have discussed in the last session, finding the transform, so that you can do it as a homework. Okay, so I will be focusing here on inverse Laplace transforms in this session, so we'll be focusing on those problems. Okay, so how to use shifting theorem to use find inverse Laplace transform. So when you are given a function of the form f of s minus a, always try to identify the function f of s. Once you have identified f of s, try to write down f of t. If you have got an f of t, the inverse transform of this will be simply f of t into e raised to at. So that's the process which you are going to use here. Okay, so how will you do that? Okay, for example, I need to find the inverse transform of pi by s plus pi square. Okay, so before doing it directly, I'll try to find what is my f of s here. What is f of s? This is actually pi by s square. Okay, only thing here it is actually occurring as f of s minus pi. F of s plus pi is occurred here. Here f of s is pi by s square. The inverse transform of this already you know it is pi into, because of linearity, t, right? T raised to 1 by 1 factorial. Okay, so this is the inverse transform of pi by t, pi into t. So what will be the inverse transform of pi by s plus pi the whole square? So in place of s you have s plus pi or s minus pi. Okay, so in place of s you have s minus pi. So that means there has to be a factor of e raised to minus pi t. That is why this had happened. Okay, so I hope it is clear. You can verify this answer by just taking the transforms. Okay, so identification process is very important. Next question, how will you do this problem? Okay, if you look at the table, this is similar to 21 by s raised to 4. Okay, now you know the inverse transform of 21 by s raised to 4, which is 21 into t cube by 3 factorial, right? Okay, now can you identify what will be the inverse transform of this? So you know that in place of s you have s plus root 2, which means you have s minus root 2. So this is your f of s minus a coming in s minus a. So that means the inverse transform of this function would be 21 into t cube by 3 factorial into e raised to minus root 2t. Okay, I hope it is clear. Please look at shifting theorem and try to understand what is meant by these steps, and please complete it also. Okay, again we will, once you do 2 or 3 problems, you can easily identify the inverse transforms. Okay, let us do one more question. Suppose I need to find 4 by s square minus 2s minus 3. Okay, so one way already you know, you can factorize the denominator and then you can use partial fractions. That is one way which you have studied. That is easier in this method. Okay, but I'll try to use the shifting theorem approach also, so that you will have a very number of tools in your kitty to solve some problems. Okay, so suppose I'm going to use shifting theorem here. So what I'll do is that I'll make the denominator of some of the, suppose this is some, I'll make the denominator of the form some s minus a here. Okay, so for that what I'll do is that I'll bring some s minus a square in the denominator, because already the denominator is of the form s square of something. Okay, so I'll bring an s minus a the whole square here. Okay, so we know the technique from integral calculus, that is the technique of completing a square. Okay, so we'll employ that technique in the denominator and make s as a factor of s minus a the whole square, something like that. Okay, so what will I do? So I'll take s square minus 2s minus 3 and I'll complete a denominator here, complete a square here. You have done these type of problems while finding the equations of circles and everything in your lower classes, so I am going to do that here. So how will you do, how will you complete a square? Okay, it's very simple thing. If you know the formula of a square plus 2ab plus b square, that is the formula of a plus b the whole square, you can see that this b square is actually, just be careful what I'm saying here, this b square is actually the square of the half of the coefficient of a, square of the half of coefficient of a, right? So is this clear? So here coefficient of a is actually 2b, the half of that is just b, so that is the term which is coming here. Okay, so what I'll do is that I'll make this as the form, I'll make it a complete square in the terms of s here. For that what I'll do is that I'll take the coefficient of s, that is minus 2 in this case, I'll take its half, which is minus 1, and then I'll square it and add it to this here. So that's it. That means I'll get here as s square minus 2s plus 1. Okay, to balance that one I'll put minus 1 here also, minus 3. So what is the use of doing like that? Because you will get this quantity as simply s minus 1 the whole square minus 4. So now it is of the form some s minus a function. Okay, I hope it is clear. Okay, we will do one or two problems also, then also you'll understand this method. Okay, so now I have got it as the form s minus 1 the whole square minus 4. So now the function is of the form 4 by s minus 1 the whole square minus 4. Okay, now look at the table. This is similar to 4 by s square minus 4. Only thing is that s is being replaced by s minus 1. Now what is the inverse transform of 4 by s square minus 4? Look at the table, you can see that this is actually the inverse transform would be, you need to supply 2 there because your a is 2 there. So it will be 4 into 2 into 1 by 2 by s square minus 4. So this is simply 2 into sine h2t is the inverse transform for that function. Okay, so if you know the inverse transform of 4 by s square minus 4, what will be the inverse transform of this? In place of s you have a s minus 1, so the inverse transform would be simply a factor of e raised to t also will be there. So you can see that using this shifting theorem also you can do such problems. You can also try this problem using partial fractions also, no issues sir. You can do exam, you can use any method, but I want to introduce you this method also, that's why I have done in this format. Okay, some problems will be easier in terms of this shifting functions. I will see such problems. Okay, and if you do by partial fractions, you will be getting another answer, but both the answer are just the same, because you will be getting an answer in terms of e raised to power something in the partial fraction case, but you know that already sine h2t is e raised to 2t plus e raised to minus 2t by 2. So when you apply that thing in there, you will get the same answer as the partial fraction approach. Okay, so I hope it is clear the method of so you have to understand two things here. One is the method of completing a square, already I have studied in the lower classes, please try that once again, and then applying the shifting theorem by identifying the relevant functions. Okay, and moving forward, let us do one more problem in the scale. Suppose I need to find this problem. Okay, as you see, this problem can't be easily done by partial fractions because it's very difficult to factorize here. It's not obvious in the first instance. Maybe you will have to use the quadratic formula etc to factorize it. So let me try to apply the shifting theorem approach. So for that I will take the denominator, which is s square plus 10 pi s plus 24 pi square. I will try to make it a perfect square in terms of, I will bring a perfect square in terms of s here. For that I will look at the coefficient of s, which is 10 pi. I will take its half, which is 5 pi, and add square onto this function. So it will become s square plus 10 pi s plus 5, so it will be simply 25 pi square. To balance it I have to supply minus 25 pi square plus 24 pi square. So in effect you will get this as s plus 5 pi the whole square minus pi square. So that is your denominator. So now it's function of the form pi by s plus 5 pi the whole square minus pi square. Now this is similar to pi by s square minus pi square. I hope you know the transform of this. What is it? It's simply sine pi 80. So the transform of this will be simply sine pi 80. In place of s you have s plus 5 pi, so it is e raised to minus 5 pi t will be there. Okay, so using the shifting theorem it is much easier to solve using this approach. Okay, so suppose you have another problem also. So this is another problem, so I hope you can do this problem by yourself. So it is of the form some a naught by s plus a1 by s square plus a2 by s cube. This problem you can easily do. What is it? It is the inverse transform. This will be simply a naught plus a1 t plus a2 t square by 2 factorial, but in place of s you have s plus 1. So in the final answer you will have a factor of e raised to, the final answer will have a factor of e raised to minus t also. So please try to do it and convince yourself of this answer. Okay, again one more question is that 2s minus 1 by s square minus 6s minus 18. Here also you can try the partial fraction approach. Maybe I think it is difficult here, but maybe you can try it. You can use maybe if you want what you say, the quadratic equation, quadratic formula to factorize it by finding the roots. That all you can use any approach you like, but let me try to do this problem you are using the shifting theorem. Okay, so for that what we'll do is that I'll keep the numerator as such. I'll try to factorize the denominator. So what's the denominator? It is I'll try to completely square the denominator. So denominator is s square minus 6s minus 18. So how will I make it a square? As before told you, here the coefficient of s is minus 6. So half of it is minus 3. Add a square, that is 9. So 6s plus 9 minus 9 minus 8. Or you will have s minus 3 the whole square minus 27. So your function is now 2s minus 1 by s minus 3 the whole square minus 27. Okay, so in order to use the shifting theorem approach, you should have the function, this function as of the form f of s minus a. But there is a complication here because your function is not like that. Only in the denominator you have a s minus a lying there. So I'll try to make the entire function in that format by bringing s minus 3 everywhere in the numerator also. So what will I do? So I'll put the numerator as, so in order to apply shifting theorem I should get the function in this form. So what will I do? I'll replace the numerator as 2 into, to make it like x minus 3 I'll put s minus 3 there. Okay, to balance it I'll put a 3 here. Okay, minus 1. Okay, now it is perfect, so that it is of the form f of s minus a, everything is contains s minus a. Okay, so it is s minus 3 the whole square minus 27. So it is actually 2 into s minus 3 plus 6 minus 5. So plus 5, okay, plus 5 by s minus 3 the whole square minus 27. Okay, so you can compare it with 2s plus 5 by s square minus 27. Please find it, and once you get the answer you multiply this answer by simply a factor of e raised to 3t to get the original function. So this is homework for you. I have given you the ideas. Please try to do it by yourself. Okay, and moving forward, this is another question that also you can do it. You can compare this function by as plus b pi by s square plus pi square. Please find the inverse transform. Once you find it, you can give the factor of k by giving e raised to minus kt in the final answer. So please try all these problems and try to do it. Okay, so that's with inverse Laplace transform. So we have completed this section. Okay, so we'll again begin with a new section on differentiation and integration of transforms in the next class. Okay, thank you.